so forth. If you haven't done this before and you're still needing some assistance, we'll be here. Joseph and I'll be here to wrap up with questions after, but we want to get through the main part of the program here pretty quickly. If you can imagine, Skagway was probably pretty crazy with all these people coming in by boat and trying to get their outfitted and moved onto the trail and things going. It's very similar to how our parking lot is going to be, right? It can be kind of crazy up there, getting people parked and things like that. So we have Todd Bocasian is here to talk about, he's the key point person in charge of parking and making sure that we get troops out of cars, vehicles parked properly and on the trail correctly. So he's going to talk about kind of logistics and planning and getting your troops up there safe.
Thanks,
Mr. Bocasian, you bet.
I'm Todd Bocasian, past Scoutmaster of Troop 223. Dave is also a past Scoutmaster. Dave's doing a great job, isn't he?
Yeah.
Our current Scoutmaster's in the back there, Brian Cameron, and my SPL is standing next to him. I had the pleasure of going on a cruise to Alaska this last summer. And I found myself on the White Pass, and that's where I got this hat. And the gold rush of the Yukon in the late 1890s was different than the gold rush in California in 1849 because photography had developed and much more matured in those 50 years. And so there's a great photographic record of the Yukon, and I bought some books when I was up there and came back, and Dave and I talked about it, and Dave's doing a great job of injecting a lot of that history into what we do at Klondike. So that's going to be really great this year. Okay, Skagway, that was where all of the miners who entered the Yukon first experienced the trail. And that's where you're going to experience it. So how many, just so I get a sense of who I'm talking to, the audience is, how many here have not been to Klondike within the last, say, 3 years? Wow. Wow, okay, cool. All right. How many here have never been to Camp Chawanakee at any time, ever? Okay, a few of you. All right, let's talk a little bit about the map. This is not the scale. You're going to be coming up. There's various ways, Aubrey Road or Toll House Road, but you're going to end up here at this intersection. Some of you will recognize it. It's where we call the beginning of the 4-lane on Route 168. Right there at that T intersection where you're going to make a left and go up the mountain to Shaver and onto Chawanakee. There's a big park and ride. So those of you that are coming from long areas that want an opportunity to pull over, park, get your gear kind of organized last minute before you head up to where you're going to discharge. This is about a 20-minute ride from the parking lot. Keep in mind that's a great spot. Okay, then once you come up the 4-lane, you then get here what we call Crestman's, and then you're going to get into Shaver. Right when you get into the town of Shaver, there's a road called Dinky Creek Road. You're going to make a right on that, and then from there, what is it, 4 miles? Does that sound about right?
2 miles. 2 miles.
Seems like it's 4. Okay, 2 miles. All right, about halfway in, so about a mile from when you make the turn, there's our parking lot, what I call parking lot number 1. Then as you start getting very close to where Camp Chawanakee's road is, on your right-hand side is the largest of all the parking lots, parking area 2. Then here's where our staging area is. That's my blow up over here. And just beyond it is parking area 3. Both of these, 2 and 3, are walking distance from Camp Chawanakee. This one is not. That's a good mile ride. Okay? We will have a shuttle vehicle. We do plan on, Sequoia Council is furnishing that to us, and we will be shuttling the drivers back and forth when we park you in one of these spots. Okay, this is a blow up. Once you start arriving the 2 mile road on Dinky Creek, you'll see parking area 2 to your right. It's our largest parking area. It's about 200 yards from here to the entrance to Camp Chawanakee. And about 100 yards beyond that is parking area number 3. Is that all clear? Okay. These areas will be plowed. So we'll be able to get a lot of cars in there. But Like Dave said, last year we had 600 people. It's somewhere around 200 cars, 250 cars. So I need you to do everything possible to pack as many scouts as you can into as few of cars as possible. Those of you coming long distances might want to consider leaving off some cars here in the parking lot and then packing as many scouts as you can into a few cars to go that last 20 minutes into camp. Okay? All right, once you start arriving close, you'll see some flashing beacons that'll tell you that you're getting close. You'll see a line of portable delineators. Those of you who have seen this before, I've done this now for about the past 3 years. It works really well. You'll see a line of portable delineators, and we've separated out the shoulder to form a parking queue. So you're going to come past the area where we're offloading. You're going to go into parking area 3 and use it as a turnaround. You're going to turn around and you're going to get into that parking queue. Is that clear? All right. Then, when you're here, you're going to be given a parking ticket. It's a little deal that you're going to need to fill out your name and your phone number. It's critical that you do that. How many of you who've come up here before have kind of bypassed the shuttle and just kind of parked yourself and then walked the boys on in? It's a trick question.
Don't answer that question.
Here's the problem with that. We have so many cars parked into this parking lot that they're double and triple parked, right? Some of your units, especially the LDS units that are coming out Saturday, they're blocked in and they can't get out. So what I need to do is go and look in their windshield and rub off the snow so I can see on their dashboard and to get what their cell number is, and then call down into camp and get somebody to snowmobile that driver in so that we can move his car. I need every car that's parked in any of these lots to have a parking ticket. The only way you're going to get that parking ticket is to get into that queue. Okay? All right. Then, as soon as these cars are offloaded, these guys, what you'll do is you'll come forward and then back in. Come forward and back in. If Doug gives us a wide enough area, we can get 3 cars across. And that goes nice and fast. But here's the real key, okay? Some units, out of council. They've got their pickups or their cars or whatever, and they've got more gear than you can shake a stick at. I mean, we talked about fires. Okay, I really don't recommend fires. Really don't. Having been a scoutmaster for quite a few years, fires distract the boys. And when they get in there, and they're going to need to make their meals, and then they're going to need to get their tents erected, and then they're going to need to get in and get bedded down, last thing that they need to do is stand around a fire. So it's just a recommendation. The other reason is because I get these trucks that have, as I said, more equipment than Carter's got pills, and they're offloading this stuff, and it just takes forever. Some of them take a good 15, 20 minutes to get their truck from when it backs in to when we get them out. That's way too long. The goal is about 2 to 3 minutes. Back it in, get the gear out. Now, who am I looking to be in charge, large and in charge, when that truck is backed up?
SPL.
SPL. Okay? So, this is your first actual activity, and there will be judging. We will judge which troop has the most organized and fastest offloading of their gear, and as evidenced by the SPL being in charge. Okay? So, watch for that.
I may have missed this. You said I walked in a little bit late. Did you say, did you mention about stopping early and maybe doing a prep?
Yes. Yep. Well, would you like to get into that a little more?
Well, if that's what, no, I get the idea. Just stop early, get everything ready so that it's a 5-minute or less unload.
Yeah, if you're coming from Fresno or Madera, or even Visalia, I would imagine that you can do all that organizing there before you take off. Maybe at where your troop meets, whatever. But if you're coming from LA, like some of our units, or coming from the Bay Area, I could see them wanting the comfort, to be able to spread out for a 2, 3 hour, 4 hour drive. But then that last 20 minutes, consolidate, get ready, get organized. Challenge yourself. How quickly can you offload? The other thing, I thought Joe did an excellent job of showing how all of the gear largely should be on each of your scouts' persons, right? Cooking equipment, food, their tents, should all be strapped to their backpacks if you're well organized. So the troop equipment, the stuff that goes on your sled, you know, is minimal. Minimal. Again, I've seen troops that do it the complete opposite. They don't have hardly any equipment on the boys' backs. They try to just pile it all onto their sleds. It really doesn't work well, guys. It's a 2-mile hike that you have in. You don't know what the snow conditions are going to be. In my 10 years of attending Klondike, there's been a good number of them where it was just mud, no snow. So I don't expect that this year, fortunately. But get as much of the gear on your boys' backs as possible. You will need a sled. And there's some history associated with the sled. I don't want to take too much of your time, Dave, but when the miners came to the Klondike, they had to cross from American territory into Canadian territory, because that's where the gold fields were. And the Canadian Mounties were very, very concerned about these hundreds of thousands of mostly Americans coming in to try to strike it rich and make gold. They didn't want any of them to die. So in order to cross into Canadian property, the Mounties had a checkpoint there, and you had to prove that you had 2,000 pounds of equipment in order to get past the checkpoint. And they had scales. We have photographs of the scales. So how do you get 2,000 pounds of equipment up and down a very steep trail when each man could only handle maybe 50 to 100 pounds per trip? A lot of trips back and forth. So the idea of making the boys hike in and sled in is reminiscent of what the actual miners did in the Yukon. So get the gear on the boys' backs and get it offloaded from the trucks quickly. If you don't have any gear in your car, if all you have is scouts, you know, there's a number of those that are that way. Same thing, you're going to be backing in, offloading the boys, and then you'll be directed which of the parking areas to go to as you go out. Okay? What I don't want, again, is cars coming in here without going through the checkpoint. You won't get a parking ticket that way, and I get a bunch of boys walking on the road this 200 yards in very slippery conditions, dark. It's dangerous. Okay? Yes?
After the drivers park in either the parking areas, do they just walk themselves back to the unloading areas?
No. There'll be a shuttle. What will happen is right when you're ready to come out, we will tell you where to go. We'll tell you which of the parking areas we're currently filling. Then you'll park your car in as best as you can to get it in tight, okay? And then there'll be a shuttle waiting for you, a rental shuttle. Take good care of it, okay? It's a rental. And then that shuttle will bring the driver back. Is that clear? While that's happening, and the boys are offloading gear, I want you out of this area. I want you here into what I'm calling the formation area, which is on the snow. Okay, this area is plowed. Where the plow stops, back here is where I need all of the SPL, get your troop over, get them organized by patrols, and you'll probably be waiting for 10 minutes or so until the driver can be brought back by the shuttle. Okay, is that clear? All right, and then from the formation area, it's about a 2-mile or so walk.
1.8.
1.8, there you go. Right here will be my RV. I get to sleep in an RV. And right next to that RV is a box that I keep kind of tucked under the RV. Can anybody tell me what goes in that box?
Dead Scouts.
Dead Scouts. Electronics, absolutely. If I see earbuds in, they're in the box. Okay, and you'll have to come back and sort out which one was your iPod from all the other iPods when you come back. Also, that's the lost and found. There's lots of stuff.